We're going to be talking about Shell Singapore today. I'm Anushri.
I'm Grant.
I'm Katie.
I'm Blake.
And I'm Justin.
So I'm going to be kind of talking about just a little bit about what Shell Singapore actually does. So Shell is one of the largest, most influential companies in the world. Shell Singapore in particular now has been around for over 120 years, pumping and supplying oil from anywhere around the globe. So Shell Singapore, it started in Palau, Bukom, and when it first opened up, it wasn't like as big as it was today. But now, after these 120 years, the Bukom refinery is one of the largest wholly owned Shell refineries in the whole world, distilling over 500,000 barrels of crude oil a day. Um, this is one of the most important Shell production sites, but is also very important to Singapore as it is a huge foreign investor to the country and has really allowed Singapore to blossom as a city, but as well have the company grow substantially as well. So our group was interested in talking and learning more about Shell, primarily because it's a real global brand. It's something that has implications worldwide. The oil industry specifically in Singapore, producing oil, and it's sent all over the world. It's not something that's being produced and stays in Singapore. It's being produced and getting sent to China, getting sent to India, to the US, to Europe. It's a whole global industry. Now Shell has over 44,000 fueling stations worldwide. 73 of them are in Singapore. And then as well, the fuel that Shell is producing and supplying is used in other industries, such as the aviation industry, commercial fuels for mining projects, the Marines, and dozens of other companies that are all being supported by Shell's.
Current operations and performance. So Shell has 5 core businesses: exploration and production, gas and power, refining and marketing, chemicals, and trading and shipping. So just a little backstory: Shell has been ranked first in the Fortune 500 list of companies, and their cost savings have helped the company record its highest annual profits recently, and the full year profits have jumped from 36% to $21.4 billion. So with this said, Shell's profits can be affected by the global economy. So because it's a challenging upstream and downstream business environment, the industry conditions will never remain stable. Their focus is on capital discipline and cost, though, which will help them focus on sustaining a strong position in the energy landscape. Improvements. Firstly, Shell lacks efficiency when comparing its key performance indicators with its competitors. Secondly, a detailed point of reference on its close competitors can help them in regards to Shell's closest competitors, because it will help them improve performance in areas of profitability, efficiency, and alternative energy. They should additionally work on their cost reduction as a priority, although they have been. Since it is in the business of hydrocarbon maturation, Shell should additionally make backing up their new cost estimates with benchmarks a focal point to illustrate their current performance. That way, it would be easier to see where one can improve relative to its competitors. With this said, Shell should focus on taking a full review of its overall strategy as to how to improve performance, so to avoid the problem of a strategic drift.
So Shell on a global market scale is considered to be one of the super majors of big oil in the world, and it is one of 7 of them. So its other major competitors on a global scale include Eni, which is an Italian multinational oil and gas company, ConocoPhillips, an American multinational energy corporation, Total, which is a French multinational integrated oil and gas company, Chevron, which is another American multinational energy corporation, Exxon and Mobil, another American multinational oil and gas corporation, and finally BP, otherwise known as British Petroleum, which is a multinational oil and gas company. Next slide. So, despite the vast amounts of competition that Shell has on a global scale, the company is constantly striving to improve, giving Shell a great competitive advantage on this global scale. The company states that their purpose is to power progress together by providing more and cleaner energy solutions, and that their strategy is founded on their outlook for the energy sector and the chance to grasp the opportunities arising from the substantial changes in the world that we currently see going around us. Shell writes on its website that the company's ability to achieve its strategic ambitions depends on how Shell responds to competitive forces. Shell continuously assesses the external environment, markets, as well as underlying economic, political, social, and environmental drivers that shape them, to evaluate changes in competitive forces and business models. Shell uses multiple future scenarios to assess the resilience of their strategies, and they take regular reviews of the market they operate in and analyze the trends and uncertainties that come with the market. Shell maintains business strategies and plans that focus on actions and capabilities to create and sustain competitive advantages. And Shell maintains a risk management framework that regularly assesses their response to and the risk for identified risk factors.
The Shell's business operation, known as the SBO, is currently responsible of over 70 countries, producing 3.7 million barrels of oil equivalent per day. Not many firms have a similar influence on the global oil industry, which raises the question of why can they achieve success at such high levels. The biggest reason credited is their pioneering business model of a sector-based structure. Back in the early 2000s, SBO was facing serious organizational challenges due to how widely they have expanded their market. To address the issue, they restructured from a geographically based sector to a business sector-based structure, which organized each continental market by business categories instead of countries. The implementation first resulted in the elimination of over 1,000 corporate positions, sale of much of its London headquarters, and the redesign of the systems of coordination and control. But the long-term benefit they gained outweighed those initial losses. In terms of Shell Singapore, next slide. In terms of Shell Singapore having its influence on the global market, unlike other major oil firms in Singapore, Shell can efficiently collaborate with other East Asian sectors such as China due to its wide connections and sector-based structure. This allows them to have a steady supply that is resistant towards cyclical changes to the economy, in other words, providing stability. Shell Singapore serves an important role in the flow of Shell's entire resource chain, as they have one of the closest ports to Middle Eastern countries where they accumulate their products from. In fact, as a Southeast Asian company, Singapore Shell is located in the middle point between the Middle East and Western countries, acting as a trading point of commerce connecting the two continents as well.
So for corporate social responsibility, Shell does things in Singapore specifically. So the former Prime Minister Lee Kuan Yew launched the Shell Traffic Games in 1958, which has educated over 1 million children on road safety since then. In 2015, the Shell iVolunteers program was launched, which looks to promote integrated volunteering activities throughout the company and promotes diversity and inclusiveness in the workplace. Shell partners with the Southwest Community Development Council in Singapore and works in neighborhoods with low-income or elderly residents to teach them new skills, such as healthy and affordable cooking. They renovate their apartments and throw district parties for them. Staff members also take part in Singapore's National Marine Biology Diversity Survey and work in labs alongside marine researchers to help build a clearer picture of Singapore's ecosystem. So environmental efforts, Shell is helping to work towards a lower carbon world. They're using their technology and innovation to try and deliver cleaner and more efficient energy sources. They're involved in projects that are safely capturing and storing CO2 to mitigate the use of hydrocarbons. So to prevent oil spills, they have well-designed equipment and safe operations to avoid any disasters like this. For air quality, they've developed more efficient fuels for transport and are also reducing pollution from their operations. And water use, in Singapore, Shell tries to minimize water use and increase water recycling. And in general, wherever they are working, they try and adjust their operations to meet the standards of the location they are in, and in some places they will only use recycled water.